All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the online info session for the Hong Kong U Peking U Future Leaders Dual Degree Program. This is Ying from the admissions office, and I will be facilitating today's session. So here's some background information about the program. So the HKU Peking U Future Leaders Dual Degree is jointly offered by HKU Business School and Chihuahua School of Management of Peking U. So students in this program will spend 2 years in each of the institution and receive 2 degrees at the end of those 4 years in the area of economics, finance, and management. So by studying at 2 leading Asian universities, students will be well equipped to become future business leaders with a global vision and a comprehensive understanding of mainland China. So today we are excited to have the program director, Hong Kong U alumnus, and also current students share about their experiences and information about the admissions procedures related to the dual degree program. So let me briefly introduce the speakers. We have Dr. Maurice De, Program Director of the HKU Bachelor of Economics and Bachelor of Economics and Finance at the HKU Business School. Mr. Paul Lee, HKU alumnus and current Associate Dean of St. John's College at HKU. And Iris Ma, a first-year student who is currently enrolled in the dual degree program. Throughout the session, you're welcome to make use of the Zoom chat or the Q&A function to leave your questions, and we'll get to them towards the end as we have a dedicated Q&A session for everyone. So now I would like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Paul Lee. So a quick background about Paul. So he was an alumnus of HKU, and I know for his postgraduate, he actually studied in Peking U Chihuahua School of Management. And he was the former CEO of an advertising company that's based in China. So Paul has actually a wealth of experience related to businesses in mainland China. And not only that, I think he had a great experience with HKU, and that's why he decided to come back and serve as an associate dean of one of the residential halls at HKU. So we're very glad to have Paul with us. Although there was no dual degree back when he was a student, I know he has a lot to say about his journey with HKU and also during his time in Beijing, and why he thinks this program will be a good fit for students who want to start their career either in Hong Kong, mainland China, or in Asia in general. So without further ado, may I let Paul share a little bit about himself and his experience.
All right, so thank you, Yang. Good afternoon, and all the participants spending your time joining the program. So I would like to a little bit more to introduce myself, or maybe to share a bit of the story, because I grew up in Hong Kong. I studied in Hong Kong U for my first degree, and that I spent some time in the US, and that coincidentally, I would say that to end up in Beijing and stay there for 15 years, that I would say that it totally changed my life completely, that I never would imagine when I was young. So I will first start out with how I end up in Beijing, because it's a very interesting story that happened more than almost, that was actually 20 years ago. That was 2001, I mean, exactly 20 years ago. So when I was, if you are old enough, I would say that you heard about the Asian financial crisis in '97, that I already been working in Hong Kong in advertising. I mean, a more traditional advertising company, global, working for international brand, that because after Asian financial crisis, business opportunity is getting tough here in Hong Kong. So that, and at the same time, because I have part of my family in San Francisco, California, so I decided to leave Hong Kong, and that might be to spend some time over in the US to see if there is any opportunity there. So because my family have some business over there, so that I've been kind of helping my family. But then at the same time, because the working mode is quite different over in California, so that I will be able to have some time to take my MBA degree in California. So it was good. I mean, when I look back, I actually spent 2 years over there in California, and a wonderful life. But then when I was towards finish my MBA program, that was 2001, that I all of a sudden felt like, because I was, during that time, I was in my early 30s, and that was thinking about my future career and that how am I going to spend my life. So and that one day I all of a sudden find out a very small notice on the business school notice board. Nobody would have noticed it. That's a collaboration, with PKU, and actually our MBA program can spend our last 1 or 2 semesters over there in Beijing. For me, even though I was a native Hong Kong, I grew up here, but then frankly speaking, I didn't spend, maybe before my 30 years old, I probably only spent 1 or 2 times going up to mainland China, and knew nothing about China, and not speaking the language, 普通话 zero. So and especially at the same time in 2001 in America and also in the West, that there's a lot of talking about China. The future markets, opportunities, very hot about China culture and everything. I have to say, because that year China won the Beijing Olympics in 2008. Also China got into the WTO. That was all. A lot of happening over that. During that period of time. So that I was thinking about maybe I can spend some time in Beijing, because you know what, I got to be very honest that my generation, I've never been in China at that time. China to me is still quite backward, so that I'm not quite sure whether I can handle the life over there. Spending 6 months over there, so that I immediately call one of my good friend, my brothers actually. We are staying in the same hall when we were studying in Hong Kong U. He already spent some year over in Beijing, and I just called up to him saying, "Hey, bro, can there's a program in Beijing. Is that good? Should I spend time? And more importantly, can I stay in your place for 6 months?" Then he said, "Yes, come over, to Beijing." Then I just, I packed my stuff. That was winter time, and I bought on the plane in San Francisco. That was still because California, blue, crispy sky, brought on the plane, and that 15 hours later, land on Beijing. And there was still the Beijing, the Terminal 2, older airport. When I touched down in Beijing and then I got into the terminal, there was some sort of smoke in the terminal. I thought that, you just imagine, because I've never been there. And then, I was thinking, is that anybody's doing BBQ in the terminal or somewhere? But then that's actually because that's winter. It's very cold in Beijing. That people in the cities, they burn coal at home, many of them. So that if you wear a white shirt, you will probably going out, you will have a bit of the dark dot on the ships. So that's how Beijing felt like, during that period of time. So that immediately I thought that, it's very difficult. I only finished the course very quickly, and that pack and probably go back to Hong Kong or back to California. But then very interestingly, when I was studying there, in PKU, that of course my study is very interesting because it's completely different environment. My schoolmates and the teachers very good and very friendly, and that and living there is totally completely different and out of my expectation. And that, and one day, because I originally from Hong Kong, that usually people from Hong Kong that we spend our weekend in a dim sum restaurant, having lunch with family or friends. So that I went out to my friends to a dim sum restaurant one Sunday, and all of a sudden bumped into my old boss when I was working in Hong Kong in the advertising company. And he said, he just asked me that, "Hey Paul, what you do here in Beijing?" I said, I studied in PKU, probably only spend a few months, and that I would go back to California or maybe back to Hong Kong to work. And he said that, "No, you don't have to. Just come back to the company and stay here and work." So I said yes. I thought it was easy. Then I stayed, and I stayed for 15 years. So to me, as I said earlier, that it was a fascinating experience to me, and that it completely changed my life. So because I work for a international advertising company called TBWA when I was in Hong Kong. And we handle clients like Apple, McDonald's, Michelin, Nissan car, and all the international brands. So that we do have an office in San Francisco and in California, which is quite big. And that when I was in California, I thought that maybe I just stay there and go back to the company and work there. But then when I look back to the decisions that I made to go to Beijing, I thought that because if I would stay in the States, life would be perfect. I mean, especially in California, and the weather and the people and everything is perfect. But then life will be more predictable, I would say, and that it would be more difficult for me to climb up to the positions that I had when I work in Beijing or in China, and all the opportunities. Because when I first started out in Beijing, we were, yes, Apple, it was my our biggest client because we're international brand. So that how it works is that the international work advertising agencies, we only have like 10, 20 international agencies that are working with our global clients. So that one of clients go to say for example, going to a new market, say Apple, they go to China, then we will follow. So during that time, we were selling Apple computer. Definitely no iPhone. I mean, definitely that was 10 years before the emergence of iPhone, and that iPod was just a new product. So that's how, I mean, it felt like. So that then in China, we begins to expand the company working for our international brand, and at the same time to expand the business to some of the local brands in China, and expand, because China is a very big country, that we expand from Beijing to Guangzhou to Chengdu to many different cities, and that's how it works. I mean, and at the same time, because one of our biggest clients is Nissan car, is our global client, and it's a Japanese brand. So that I later had the opportunity working with the second largest advertising company, HKU, in Japan, to form a joint venture in China. Because especially in the early days, many foreign companies, we were in a joint venture mode, working with our client, because our client also a joint venture here in China. That's very special. I mean, very special setup about how to do business in China. So that it was all fascinating. I mean, so that some people, after 15 years, when I came back to Hong Kong, some people in the industry asked me some sort of feeling about my 15 years in China. I told them that apart from all the fascinating, experience and with the people and building the business, that when I was young, when I first went to Beijing in 2001, I thought that, young people, we have all the kind of overconfidence and arrogance a little bit, that I thought that, there were a lot of things that I will be able to bring to the market or to the company. But then after 15 years, I talked to myself that actually I learned more than I give over the last that 15 years period of time. So that but if without, even though my experience with PKU was not exactly the currently Hong Kong U offer, I think it's awesome. It's an awesome program. Those days we didn't have that kind of resources and joint venture, having two universities come together, set up a proper program. My experience was more like an exchange experience, I would say, and I was the first one, because during that period of time, nobody went to Beijing. So I'm very grateful and very fortunate that I will be able to attend a program, and that having some experience in PKU that really helped to my career development and actually transform my life, I would say.
Paul, thank you so much. So I think actually a lot of us would probably resonate with your experience. You know, if you're in this session right now, you were probably interested in working in Asia, at least in Hong Kong or in mainland China, but perhaps you don't know so much about China. And I think that situation applies to a lot of us. There's something exciting about it. There's something fascinating about it, but we don't know too much. We don't know how education, we don't know how businesses work or how they are like in mainland China. So because you have actually worked in Beijing, you've worked in Hong Kong and also in the US, you have experience from all these different places. Can you actually tell us how, you know, the training you've received in, you know, when you're doing your study in PKU and also, you know, when you're working in Beijing, how is that different, or in your opinion, how's that different from, you know, in Hong Kong or just in the US and anywhere else?
I think study-wise, that of course, because I mean the environment is different. Sometimes the language would be different. That the experience is different. I mean, but then I would say that the most important thing is the if you actually go there, I mean, and you immerse yourself in the culture and surrounded by the people, that's the most valuable thing I would say. I mean, say for example that people these days talking about China is a big market, huge consumer market, but when you I can tell you one thing. I mean, I'll just give you one example about we had an experience in the very beginning with Apple that they were planning to launch in 2001, if I remember, or 2002. I mean, the Apple iPod in China. That because in the US it was a product for young people, especially they target to the college students. But then because I mean, especially Mr. Steve Jobs, he wants to push for a global strategies that everywhere, I mean, around the world is the same, and pricing the same, I mean, positioning everything the same. So that they think that in China that they should sell to the college students. I mean, for that time, that was talking about US $299 and $399. That was the salary of the top university graduates 2 months of the salary. So that we argue that nobody is going to buy it. I mean, China will be different. So that this is one example that it can be very different. I mean, and of course, after 20 years now, it's that example does not exactly apply. But then one thing I will tell you, I mean, there are many different kind of how when we say doing things in China is different, is that if you work in the US and you're working in San Francisco or you're working in New York, or if you're working in Chicago, doesn't make a lot of difference. And if you're working on the consumer market, it doesn't make, I mean, California, or even though if you are targeting Texas, it doesn't make a lot of difference. Or like we are working for international brand, when they have products going out to different part of Asia. I mean, the strategies, yes, they need to have some sort of local adaptation, but then overall, it's within a market, it's quite similar. But then in China, we're talking 1.4 billion people, markets, and they are completely different. I mean, if you are in Beijing, targeting Shanghai, or Guangzhou, or in Sichuan, it's completely different. I mean, many of the examples, because in the past, I often giving talks to university students visiting China. I always make the same analogy to them that if you just imagine whole of Europe, Western Europe, Central and Eastern Europe coming together as one country. They have different languages, they have different culture, that's China. So I think this is the first thing that if you do not live there or spend time there, spend time with the people and traveling around, you wouldn't know it.
Okay, Paul, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your insight. So if you have questions for Paul, you're welcome to leave it in the Q&A or in the chat. But now I would like to invite Iris, a current first-year student in this joint program, to tell us actually a little bit about why she chose this program last year. So Iris, please.
So I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Iris Ma, and I'm a Year 1 student studying in the Future Leaders Dual Degree program. My current majors are Econ and Finance at HKU, and I'm excited to be studying management at PKU in my third and final year. I've always enjoyed the economics discipline, having studied it at higher level for IB in my international high school. So I wanted to further enrich my knowledge through this program. Hong Kong is a global financial center, and I believe studying right in the city center, as well as the major financial hub, that is Beijing, is pretty cool. So, as a Year 1 student, what have I been up to so far? Firstly, I'm a student ambassador for the business school. I take responsibility in helping recruit the incoming class of 2021. So if you have any questions regarding HKU and PKU, I will try my best to help or direct you to another reliable source. Secondly, in October of last year, I represented my faculty to run in the annual HKU sports competition. I participated in individual sprinting and relay events, met people from all areas of academia, such as the social sciences, medicine, and the arts, and developed not only my teamwork skills, but also my leadership skills. Thirdly, just the other day, there was an opening art exhibit for students and alumni at St. John's College, one of the many halls for students at HKU. It's also the current one that I'm staying at. This program allows me the flexibility to engage in enriching non-academic pursuits, aside from learning. As long as you take the initiative to put yourself out there, you'll find your circle and your belonging. Both HKU and PKU offer a plethora of student activities, so you definitely won't be bored. Now I'll provide some tips for your application and link it back to my own high school experience. Having a passion or hobby you're dedicated to over a period of time is vital to impress the admissions officers. This shows both HKU and PKU that you have perseverance. You have a strength that differentiates yourself from other candidates. From primary to high school, I dedicated myself to running. I represented my school in inter-school athletics competitions. You can highlight your passions in your essays and interview, and this will make you have an edge over your peers. I was also passionate about business and demonstrated this through my involvement in business competitions and projects. Join them or start them yourself. These business experiences helped me get out of my comfort zone to adapt to fast-paced environments. Businesses are created to solve problems, and the creativity behind problem solving is what attracted me to this program. HKU and PKU give you boundless opportunities for you to engage with the business sector. For example, you can join clubs, case competitions, and interview workshops. Moreover, HKU has connections to the big financial firms, such as JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and the Citibank. So, with this dual degree and 2 famous university names held behind your back when you graduate, you certainly won't have trouble finding a job that you want, that is. Lastly, don't be afraid to try new things. In high school, I joined debating for the first time, and wow, it was tough. But I think that if you actually push yourself, you will find that you're capable of so much more than you think. So have the mindset to achieve great things and don't look back. Debating allowed me to travel to Beijing. I explored its culture, food, and famous landmarks. While eating the famous Peking duck, we visited the Summer Palace, the Forbidden Palace, and the Great Wall of China. Although I didn't get to visit Peking, this trip allowed me to appreciate all the beauty that Beijing has to offer. In year 3, when I return to Beijing, I'll definitely visit these places again. In fact, this program offers you the chance to not only explore these famous landmarks, but also explore local Chinese provinces, where you'll get to understand China in a greater depth through a full immersion experience. Does this sound appealing? So before I answer some questions from the panel, let me show you some of my favorite spots on the university campus. Here's the roof of Chihuahua Learning Commons, a popular space for students on campus to study. Here you can watch the sunset, as well as appreciate the Hong Kong skyline. Next is inside Chihuahua Learning Commons. You can choose to study outside or inside these individual study pods. I like them when having meetings or collaborating with friends. And right outside Chihuahua is the HKU rooftop garden. So if you want to take a little stroll on campus, I would definitely recommend you to come here. That's it for my sharing. Now I'll take some questions from the panel.
Iris, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about your experience and kind of your when you submit your application, what you have gone through. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose to take this program? Because I understand that, you know, as a student around this time last year, you're probably just starting with your application. You're also getting some offers from other universities. Is there something that make the cut that you decide that, you know, you want to take this particular dual degree over other offers from other countries?
Yeah, so the Hong Kong U-PKU program gives me the opportunities to study 3 broad disciplines in 2 competitive regions in Asia. So this certainly gives me competitive advantage to my peers when it comes to applying for jobs in the workplace. And I also knew that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I wasn't ready to give that up, especially when this program allows me or gives me a platform to achieve my professional goals in life.
Iris, you mentioned about a professional goal. Can you share a little bit about what that is, and actually what are your plans with that you plan to do in the future with this particular degree?
Right now, like my dream is to become a chief manager or chief marketing officer of a firm. So right now I'm still exploring as to like the field of study that I'm really interested in, because I'm still in year 1, but currently I'm really enjoying my management and marketing classes. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Iris. I believe there will be more questions for you later from the audience. Now that we've heard from our alumni and students, I hope you have a better understanding of how this program could benefit you, regardless of whether you want to start your own company, you want to work in a multinational firm, or just to enrich your undergraduate study experience. And I would like to take this chance, last but not least, to ask Dr. Maurice Jie, Program Director of the HKU Bachelor of Economics and Bachelor of Economics and Finance at the HKU Business School, to tell us some of the admissions information about this program. Dr. Jie, please.
Hello, future leaders. How are you? Well, my name is Maurice. Last name is TSE Jie. Okay. Cantonese is Jie Guosheng and Xie Guosheng. Okay, that's my Chinese name. You can call me Maurice. And it's my big pleasure to be here to share this program with you. This program, Hong Kong U-PKU Future Leaders Program, is actually embedded within the B-Econ and Finance program. So it's a very exciting program. And thanks to Iris and Paul with the sharings earlier about Iris' life at Hong Kong U over here, and also Paul's life in Hong Kong, in US, and also in Beijing. And I'm sure that you gather a lot from them about their life experience in the study and also in work. Over here, I'd like to walk you through, more details about the features of this special program. So this program, as mentioned by Yang, is actually a 4-year program, but you earn 2 degrees from the 2 well-renowned universities. And Peking University, I don't need to say a lot about it, and I bet everybody knows a lot about it already. Has a very so-called rich academic heritage, and also a very scholarly culture with a long history, and is ranked among the best in the world. And in Hong Kong over here, the University of Hong Kong is the oldest university, also with very rich heritage and very scholarly environment. And we also ranked among the best in the world, no matter how you look at it. We are always within the best, among the best. At the same time, both universities have produced many prominent alumni leaders, and also important so-called people to not only the local society, but also to the world with global contribution. And let me tell you about, the features this program. Actually, this program is special in the following sense. It's the first and only dual degree program with a strong focus, heavy focus on economics, finance, and management, offered by two top universities in the mainland and also Hong Kong. And in this program, you have a opportunity to acquire cross-cultural experience specific to your learning experience, but not offered anywhere else. It paves the way for your career development and opportunities down the road, not only in Hong Kong or China, but also in the global job market. Because I mean, with the substantial knowledge in China and also Hong Kong, the world belongs to you. You become a part of the privileged group of students who can exclusively enjoy resources from both universities, including facilities and enrichment programs. In fact, I think to me, the most precious resource actually is the Alumni Network. Imagine how important PKU is in mainland. Important, I mean, the role Hong Kong U has been playing all along in Hong Kong. And if you have access to the Alumni Network in both universities, you own half of the world already. And to enter this program, you don't need to have prior knowledge or fluency in Putonghua or Mandarin Chinese, not required. But we encourage you that when you're in your third and fourth year in Beijing, you might take this as a good opportunity to beef up, to sharpen, or to acquire Putonghua. Now, this program at Hong Kong U, we provide a wide spectrum of enrichment opportunities to make sure that besides studying in the academic program, you also acquire a lot of so-called learning experience through your student activities. In particular, we offer Hong Kong U Business School mentorship program. We link you up with the Hong Kong U alumni and also the so-called the leaders in the business sectors in Hong Kong as your mentors. And we also encourage you to participate in the Hong Kong U Accenture Business Consulting Program. And you will actually participate in consulting projects in a competition. And you are also encouraged to participate in the local and overseas competitions in case, in fact, Hong Kong U has been sort of, I wouldn't say constant, but we are frequent winner in the case competitions globally, okay? And we also line you up with various experiential learning experiences with the business sectors. In fact, we believe that applying what you learn in practice, I think is the best way to learn it. So this is something that we offer. In China, we also offer creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship in China program. Alongside, we also offer you doing business in China program with the Peking University. To make sure that you stand out in the job market, we actually have a lot of so-called big infrastructure to prepare you, to prep you for the job market, which is highly competitive. We provide you career training workshops to help you prepare your CV for job interviews and how you present yourself in front of other people. We also expose you to potential employers through the Hong Kong U Business School job fair. And we also offer you, while you are still studying in the program here, we also provide you and offer you various internship opportunities with investment banks, private banking, and different so-called business sectors, as you can see on the pictures over here. Let me tell you about the curriculum structure, the exciting part over here. In fact, this is there are two parts in this curriculum structure, the Hong Kong U part and also the Peking U part, okay? First and foremost, you will complete no less than 294 Hong Kong U equivalent course credits in 4 years. And at the end, you will get 2 degrees from both Hong Kong U and Peking U. From Hong Kong U, you'll get the Bachelor of Economics and Finance. From Peking U, you'll get the Bachelor of Arts in Management degree. In your year 1 and year 2, you will complete 150 Hong Kong U credits. To many of you, I think you're not familiar with what does it mean by 150 Hong Kong U credits. Well, look at it this way. One regular Hong Kong U course carries 6 credits. So if you divide 150 by 6, it will translate into 25 courses in 2 years. So that means in year 1 and 2, approximately you study between 12 courses in year 1 or 13 courses in year 2 to make it 25, okay? And then in your year 3 and 4, you move to Beijing and live over there and study there, and you will complete no less than 144 to 146 Hong Kong credits that would translate into 24 courses. Okay. Now, the first 2 years at Hong Kong U, what will you study? Well, in year one, you'll be very busy. In fact, same for year two as well. You'll be extremely busy. You will actually bury yourself among your lecture notes and also within the books. And at the same time, you have to find time to participate in so-called the enrichment program, as explained by Iris just now. In year one, you will take the core university English course, and you will take a financial accounting, introductory level economics courses for micro and macro. And you also take statistics course or analysis of economic data course, either one, okay? And you will take a course in corporate finance, and you'll take a math course to prepare you for more advanced courses in economics and finance later. And then you will take 2 business courses over here. One is management and one is marketing. And then in year two, you will take academic communication for business and economic students. You will also take a course in management accounting. You move up to intermediate level economics courses for micro and macro. And then you will take a more advanced so-called quantitative analysis for economics. It's called introductory econometrics. Don't be fooled by the word introductory. It's actually intermediate, okay? And then you will take 2 finance courses over here. One is investments portfolio analysis. And then the other one over here is derivatives. And you will take some business courses, introduction to business analytics that touch on also the use of big data and organizational behavior. And you will take economics disciplinary elective. Now, on top of these courses over here that I just mentioned, I think there are altogether 1, 2, I think on the left-hand side over here, we have 9 courses over here on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, we have 10 courses, so 19 altogether, but that's not it. You are required to take 4 common core courses, either in year 1 and year 2. So 19 plus 4 is 23. And then you take 1 multivariate calculus and linear algebra or multivariate calculus, either in year 1 or 2. So 23 plus 1 in math, advanced math is 24. And then you'll take 1 course in language, which is basically either Cantonese or Chinese, okay? So 25 altogether. And then you move on to Beijing for year 3 and year 4, provided you successfully complete these courses over here with good grades, right? You want to sound too scary to all of you? Now, year 3 and year 4, what will you study? Well, you will study more about the China market, China economy with an international perspective. So in particular, in year 3, you'll take courses in Chinese finance, Chinese economy, cross-cultural communications, international economics, economic history, management science and information, Chinese management 1 and 2, theory and practice of innovation, business ethics, corporate and social responsibility, operations management is for year 3. And then for year 4, you take strategic management, China immersion project, and then you take Peking University electives in year 3 and 4. And in particular, you require to complete 2 of the following courses. In year 3, you take one of these 3 courses over here, and then in year 4, you take one of these 2 in finance. And then there's also a research component in your study. You have to apply what you have learned in Hong Kong U and Peking U in 4 years by applying what you learned to a research project, all right? It serves as a capstone project that integrates things that you learned in the 4 years and apply them in the appropriate manner in the right area. So altogether, this is the study at Hong Kong U and Peking U in the 4 years. Now, about the cost, okay, the tuition fees. Well, since you get 2 degrees in 4 years, doesn't mean that the tuition fee is a lot more expensive than the regular so-called Hong Kong U degree program. The answer is no. In fact, for those students who successfully enroll in this Future Leaders program, you will only pay the Hong Kong U tuition fee during your 1st and 2nd years of study at Hong Kong U, and that's it. And then when you move on to Peking U in the 3rd year, Guanghua School of Management of Peking U will fully cover the Hong Kong Peking U tuition fees. You don't need to pay tuition fees over there, and they will provide you free accommodation. So that means that you have to pay rent, right? And they even provide you monthly living stipend. That means that you don't have to worry about your living costs over there. So that means supposedly tuition fee, rent, and also, I mean, food and living, I mean, are all covered, essentially, okay? Besides, I mean, Hong Kong over here, when you enter the program, you'll be automatically considered for our faculty entrance scholarship. And students entering this program normally achieve so-called very outstanding so-called DSE results. So usually, I mean, to get this scholarship is not difficult. All right, so how do am I eligible to apply to this program? Well, the eligibility conditions are very straightforward. For Hong Kong residents, I mean, permanent residents, I mean, you are eligible. For international students, as defined by the Ministry of Education of the PRC and PKU, you have to look up for, I mean, what they mean by international students, okay? Now, be mindful of this, and for current PRC passport holders or students holding Taiwan and Macau passport, you are not eligible to apply to this program through Hong Kong U. In fact, I mean, there's another channel for you to apply. You have to apply through PKU instead, okay? Individuals who have previously held a PRC passport but have left and emigrated to another country and who have switched to a Hong Kong passport should refer to this link over here for more information. But if I recollect correctly, I think for, let's say, if you're from the mainland and you have emigrated to, let's say, Australia or Canada in the last, let's say, 8 years, and you have acquired Australian or Canadian passport, and now you have come back to Hong Kong and study here, and you become a Hong Kong resident. In that case, I mean, you're eligible to apply to this program. So that means you have to have lived outside China for at least 8 years, and you have already held the foreign passport, also called passport of another country, other than PRC passport, for at least 6 years to be eligible to this program. That's a very special condition, okay? But for Hong Kong students, I mean, basically, this shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay, our admission standard, I think, is something that you have been looking up to throughout the entire info session. Well, we only have 5 seats for the program. So we only can accept up to 5 students each year into this program. It's a very elite program, right? It's the elite within the elite. So it's a very special program, and only 5 places. And so the admission standard over here is very competitive, needless to say, okay? In fact, since you need to enter the Bachelor of Economics and Finance program first, and therefore you must be among the top of the BEcon and Finance intake. For example, last year, 2020, the JUPAS intake result is like this. If you look at the unweighted best 6 scores of Hong Kong U intake into the BEcon and Finance program last year, the median score is 30. The lower quartile is 29. Upper quartile is 32. So that means based on last year's admission result, you almost need to be within the upper quartile over here to stand a chance to get into this program, okay? And if you are non-JUPAS and you apply with the GCE A-level or IB results, last year our average GCE A-level result is a 2A star and 1A. And for IB diploma, it's average 38 out of 45. These are the average results for the general non-JUPAS students coming in. And for you who wish to apply and enter into this program, you need to achieve better results than the average over here. Now, something that you need to pay special attention to is the timeline for application. In fact, between now until August 4, you can submit an online application for this dual degree, okay? If you submit your application online before March 20th, all right, you'll be invited to the first round interview around late March, and you'll be informed of whether or not the interview is successful or not. And if it is successful, you'll be offered a conditional offer, all right? And if you submit your online application by May 15 this year, all right, then you stand a chance to be invited for second round interview around mid-June, and the interview result will also be announced around that time. And if successful, you'll be given a conditional offer into the Hong Kong U Econ and Finance program. And then on July 21st this year, the Hong Kong DSE result will be released. And you will, if you want to enter into this program, you must select the Econ Finance program, the JUPAS code JS 6767 as the JUPAS Band A1 choice. And this is a must, okay? And once in, then, I mean, if you're given conditional offer, that means that you basically just study and play to enter into this dual degree program. But if you haven't, let's say, applied in the first round or second round, you still have a chance to apply for the third round interview, but the chance will diminish because, I mean, we may have filled up the quota of 5 in the first 2 rounds already. But if we have some so-called seats remaining, like 1 or 2 seats remaining, then you still stand a chance by applying based on the Hong Kong DSE results. And then you'll be invited to the third round interview around mid to late August, and you'll be informed of whether or not your interview was successful or not. And this is about the timeline. And if you need any information, please let us know, okay? So between now and August 4, basically is the time for applying online for this program. But if you want to hit the first round interview, please submit your online application and complete it and submit it by March 20th in about 2 weeks' time. Otherwise, you can aim at the second round. But you know, in case first round seats are all taken up, then I mean second round, I mean the chance to get in will be smaller. Same for third round over here. Now, what do you need to have to be successful as an applicant into this program? You are supposed to demonstrate a strong interest in interdisciplinary study and willing to contribute to addressing global challenges and promoting cross-cultural communication, and exhibit strong moral character, clear sense of vision and mission with a global perspective, and demonstrate with a track record of leadership, potential, and social responsibility, and also demonstrate the determination, energy, and ability to drive changes despite obstacles. This is actually important, despite obstacles, against all odds, okay? And be able to inspire others to do the same to help make changes happen, and possess a decent and strong academic ability. To apply online, you need to submit the following documents: a copy of your CV or resume, a copy of the academic transcripts, and if you are studying in non-English speaking universities before, you need to submit something like a TOEFL or IELTS test scores. 2 letters of recommendation. 1 letter will focus on the academic ability and potential, has to come from someone who has taught you before, either as a secondary school teacher or as a former professor. There should be 1 letter focusing on your personal characteristics and leadership potential as described in your application materials, okay? And besides, I mean, you're required to write 2 essays. Essay 1 is a personal statement, up to 500 words. Tell us about yourself and why you're interested in this program, and what is your aspiration, what is your goals and visions and so forth. And then the second essay over here is you write on one of the following 2 questions, up to 500 words also. The less the better in general. Option A over here is what characteristics do you think are essential to global leadership in today's world, and why? This actually is a very interesting question, but also very important. And option B over here is in what ways do you anticipate that understanding China will help you accomplish your personal and professional goals, okay? So with your 2 essays over here, if you like, you can also produce a 1-minute application video telling us, I mean, fleshing out your personal attributes, why you want to be in this program, and in what way you can contribute to this program, okay? And so again, I mean, we encourage you to submit your application here by March 20th, which is next Saturday. And this is all that I want to say. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Otherwise, I mean, stay connected for admissions news and events, okay? So let me pass the time to Ying over here. Ying?
Thank you, Dr. Zed. Thank you. I'm already seeing quite a lot of admissions-related questions. So I think I would actually take a few minutes to address those, and maybe Dr. Zed, you can share your insight with us. One of the things that I think quite a number of students are asking is that, they don't speak Chinese. You already mentioned that Chinese is not compulsory, it's not required for students to know Chinese or speak Mandarin Chinese. But would they be placed in a disadvantage in the selection process, or when they're in Beijing, would that also put them in kind of a disadvantaged position when they're studying in PKU?
Okay, that's a very good question. In fact, we don't require Chinese as a prerequisite, and the program at Hong Kong U and also in Peking U are both taught in English. But since you're in China, we also encourage you to pick up some Chinese, because being able to speak another language, especially Chinese, I think is good for your future after all. So that's what I want to elaborate. You don't need to have a background in Mandarin or Putonghua. In fact, you don't even have to speak a word of it. As long as you can speak fluent English with high proficiency, that's what we require. But it's also a good opportunity for you to learn Chinese if you want to in this program here. Right?
Okay, follow-up questions. I think quite a lot of students are asking, why is the intake so low? Why is there only taking 5 students? Is there a particular reason why the intake is kept at such a small number? And if they do not meet the average that you mentioned on your slides, would they still have a chance in the application?
Well, the thing is this, you are going to compete against the best from the mainland and also against the best in the world. So we want to make sure that we send the best students from Hong Kong to Peking U, to compete against the best over there, okay? So that's why the number of places over here is not that many. It's a new program, basically. So we want to make sure the program is running smoothly, and at the same time, we can guarantee the good quality of the students to be sent to Peking University without embarrassing either Hong Kong U or Peking U down the road. But let me put it this way. We don't need everybody to be a leader. In fact, we need good leaders. Good leaders must have followers. So, we need to train a few good ones to be good leaders first. And then down the road, if the program is successful and if both Hong Kong and China wish to produce more leaders of the same kind, with the same kind of attributes and qualities, we can expand the quota. But this will be a decision to be made between Hong Kong U and Peking U down the road. In fact, I think on Peking U side, actually this program is not confined to Hong Kong U only. In fact, I think Peking U also offers this program to many world-class universities in North America and also in other countries. So we have 5 from Hong Kong. That means we already we have a special privilege already, because from other countries, they may have only 1 or 2 seats per school. Okay, so I think that's my understanding. Right.
Thank you, Dr. Say. I have another question about the reference letter. Is there a preference on who should be writing this? The reference letter, does it have to be from the principals to increase the chance? Does it have to be it's written by a teacher or someone they know, they maybe from an internship they've done? Is there a preference in terms of who should be?
Okay, that's a good question. In fact, it's not mentioned in my presentation. That means we don't show particular preference to who writes the letter for you. Okay, as long as somebody who knows your academic ability, like the teacher actually is the best source of a letter. Ask a teacher, and if the principal also knows you very well for your extracurricular activities, for your contributions to the school, for your care and love for the community and society, if you can get a letter from principal, that's fine. But it's not a must. As long as somebody who can provide the evidence that you are this kind of person who's caring, passionate about others, about your study and work and so on. I think that's what we are looking for. Supposedly somebody who knows. Okay.
Iris, I have a question sent into private chat. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience, because you have gone through the application process, you've gone through the interview. Is there some tips? Is there something that you can tell us about? Anything from a student perspective that you think would help the juniors to prepare?
Okay, I'll address this from an FA standpoint and also the interview standpoint. So I think my advice for essays is think about your try to place yourself in the perspective of admissions officers. So if you're trying to like go through so many students, in what way can you package yourself in the best form in less than 1,000 words, right? And all your supplementary material. But essentially it's 1,000 words. It's so little where you can put so much rich information in. So I think in your essay, you can just try to express your accomplishments and your strengths in a professional and humble manner, and also do it in your own jargon, in your own way, like because everyone articulates words in a different way. So just be yourself in your essay and be professional. In the interview process, I think that an important thing that I wish I knew when I did the interview, how necessary it is to know what you wrote in your application. So like they're going to be asking things that you wrote, like if you did an internship, if you did business conditions, like can you please expand on this? Please touch on this and tell me about what you learned. So you have to know what you did and what you wrote. I think that in your interview, you should be confident in yourself, trust in your intuition in what you say, and be bold as well. So, because essentially this is future leaders, right? So they want someone who has a global vision. They want someone who wants to achieve something and give back and contribute to society in the future. So in that respect, those are my advice and tips for the essay and the interview.
Thank you, Iris. Paul, I have a question for you. Since you have lived in Beijing for quite a long time, is there any kind of tips, mental preparation that you will advise students to, to have if they do want to go into this particular program?
And I think, like any other big cities around the world now, Beijing, it's comparing to my time 20 years ago. I mean, it was completely different. It's very modernized. But then at the same time, because Beijing is it's a capital and then ancient cities, so that it has a very cultural side of Beijing. So that I think living in Beijing shouldn't be any problem, especially because PKU provide accommodation and living around in the university area is also very good, given that the campus, if you have get the chance to see some of the pictures of the campus, is a magnificent campus. So I think living in Beijing, it shouldn't be any problem. But then I would suggest, because I mean, the program, yes, in English, so that it shouldn't be any problem. But then in Beijing as a whole, it's still people speaking Chinese, and the common language in China, it's 普通话, or you would say Mandarin. So that, I mean, you need to prepare that there will be a lot of experience that even in PKU campus, that you would need to try to sort of to show a bit of your 普通话 skill, and that I'm quite sure that it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't take too long to pick up some 普通话. So that my suggestion is just to be open and reach out to people and experience a different part of Beijing, and the people in Beijing is very open-minded.
Thank you, Paul. Looks like actually there's a question about Dr. Zhe. Someone want to know about the major and minor options. I'm guessing that they cannot take an additional major or minor, right? Because it's actually quite a packed program.
Oh, put it this way. I mean, when you enter the Econ Finance program and also the management program with the PKU, your majors and minors basically are specialized in finance, economics, and management. So I don't think you have room for majoring or minoring in any other areas outside finance, economics, or management. These three already, I mean, they are a very big field, okay, altogether, and they're very comprehensive in many ways. So I don't think that you have much room for that, unfortunately, because I mean you have to complete 2 degree requirements in 4 years. So I think that's the bonus. At the same time, the course is that you cannot take music as a major, you cannot take philosophy as a minor. So you have to focus on business, economics, finance, and that's it. Okay.
One more question. I know in your slides mentioned there's the average for IB, Hong Kong DSE and also A-level. What about students taking other qualifications? Is there any indication?
If you apply through non-JUPAS, okay, we will consider your academic results other than, let's say, GSE or let's say IB. If you are, let's say, if you study in North America, most likely, I mean, your high school results and together with SAT score, if SAT is still offered this year. So we'll look at those also. In fact, for applicants coming from different countries with different educational system, we consider them individually and separate. So we do consider them, okay?
Okay, maybe actually one last question for you. Someone want to know about the 3 rounds of admissions, the timeline, 3 rounds of interview. Actually, is there any? You mentioned that if you apply earlier, obviously you have a bigger chance. So some students were wondering because perhaps they're getting their results later, they're not sure if they should apply early or if they should wait, but if they do wait, then perhaps the seats run out. So any kind of advice for kind of students in this particular situation, because some exams actually come out quite late, the exams, the results.
Yeah. Well, actually there are 2 parts in this application process. One is the application to enter the BEcon finance program with Hong Kong U, and you have to enter this program first before you can step into the dual degree program later. So to ensure that you stand a chance in a dual degree program, which is to be conducted by Peking U, the earlier you apply, the better, because I mean your application will actually be processed by Peking University, and the interview will actually be conducted jointly between Hong Kong U and Peking University. So it's not just Hong Kong U decision; it's actually Peking U decision also. So the earlier you apply, the better. And let's say, for example, if you apply by March 20th this year and you'll be invited to the first round interview, and if you are successful, if your performance is outstanding, then we may give you so-called conditional offer. And with the conditional offer, that means you're already sort of secure, you have secured a place in this program already. And the only thing that you have to wait and see is the DSE result, okay? So if this DSE result is good enough for you to enter the BEcon finance program, I mean, you're already in this program, right? So if you do not apply early, let's say you wait and see later, and you wait for the DSE result first and then decide, okay? Well, by then, I mean, there's a good chance that in first and second round, I mean, the 5 places been offered to the early applicants, and then you lose a chance to apply. I think that's the risk that you have to run. And that's why if you have some free time now and if you're ready for this program, and if this program attracts you, then I think the earlier you apply, the better, always, in whatever we do, okay?
So thank you, Dr. Say. I think I have addressed most of the questions that are actually being asked by a lot of the students here. I know you may have additional questions. You are welcome to let us know by email as well. If there are questions, and we will also send those to the business school as well. If you will require some further clarification of some of those. So I think we have pretty much reached the end of the session. So I want to take this chance to thank all the speakers for giving a great sharing about their experiences and the admissions procedures. And also thank you for great questions that are being asked by the audience. Thank you very much for being a part of this session. And we hope that you will apply to us. Make sure you do meet our first round application deadline, which is in 10 days. So we look forward to receiving your application. And again, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great evening.
All the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.